All 14 persons dragged before an Accra High Court over the murder of Army Major Maxwell Adam Mahama have pleaded not guilty. They were each handed an opportunity to address the court for the first time since they were arrested and put on trial 9 months ago. The trial could not progress on Wednesday as the court failed to empanel a 7-member jury to hear the case. There's more in the following report.
3 charges have been leveled against the 14 individuals. William Bang, who is the first accused person, has been charged with abetment to commit crime. 13 others were handed a charge of conspiracy to commit crime, while 8 persons faced the charge of murder. A lack of legal representation for some of the individuals standing trial had caused the matter to be adjourned twice. That was not the case on Wednesday, as the court appointed Godwin Jemfi to join the defense lawyers, George Bernard Shaw, Augustine Jemfi, Augustine Obo, and Seydou Nasigri. A fresh challenge now stares at the court in the face, getting a jury in place. This is not the first time this issue has come up before the court. The first time it did, the concern expressed by the judge was to the effect that because the case has the potential of traveling more than 2 years, it was appropriate the court got individuals who were less than the age of 60 to prevent a situation where they start hearing the case and they have to adjourn the case and set up a new panel simply because any of them is due for retirement. This time around, they managed to get 7 individuals, but the court still could not proceed to set up the panel. The reason being that a 7-member panel has to be put in place to hear the case. Now, they require more than 7 individuals. Each time someone is nominated to be on the panel, the defense lawyers and any lawyer connected to the case for that matter has the chance to oppose the nomination of that individual. So the judge says in the event you have just 7 individuals and anyone is nominated and there is opposition, it means that the court cannot proceed. Trial Judge Mahama Usudas urged the Judicial Service officers present in the court to assist the court to get more than 7 individuals from which the panel will be put in place. The court proceeded to take the plea of all 14 persons after it had agreed to defer the matter to the Judicial Service. We know the family of the deceased has an interest in this particular case. The father of the late soldier, Captain Retired Dennis Mahama, led the family delegation to monitor proceedings. He sat through the court as each of the accused persons pleaded not guilty to the 3 charges leveled against them. Captain Retired Dennis Mahama could be seen keeping his eyes closely on each of them as and when they were given an opportunity to speak in the courtroom. Hearing of the matter continues on April 12, 2018. The hope of the judge and lawyers connected to this case is that a panel will be put in place to constitute the jury to hear this particular case. Reporting for Joy News from the Law Court Complex, my name is Joseph Akable.
Elsewhere, the Central Region Police Commanders arrested 5 suspected armed robbers at Goma Poting. Police retrieved pistols and other locally manufactured firearms when the suspects were arrested at their various hideouts. Addressing the media in Cape Coast on Tuesday, Regional Police Commander Paul Awuni narrated how a man lost a leg after being shot by armed robbers. Correspondent Richard Kojonyako, who was at the news conference, reports the police says it is determined to bring criminals to justice.
According to the police, on the 29th of January this year, at about 6:30 p.m., 3 men armed with pistols and knives attacked the man in his residence at Gomuapoten. The robbers demanded all monies and other valuables the man had, including any ammunition if he had any. The victim in the encounter resisted the armed men and struggled with them, but was overpowered and was shot on the right eye, which led to the amputation of his leg. About a week ago, acting on the intelligence received from the newly created Intelligence Directorate at Gomuapoten, the police swung into operation and went into a farm settlement upon a tip-off and smoked the robbers from their hideouts. Central Regional Police Commander DCOP Paul Awuni addressed the media.
We conducted a police operation in a location around Amenfi Boazi, in a farm settlement where Fulanis reside. We arrested a 45-year-old Fulani man whom intelligence indicated is the kingpin, one of the kingpins of the robberies that have been happening around. He led us to another location around Gomuapoten and we arrested 4 other suspects who are believed to be accomplices in these robberies. The ages of these other 4 suspects are 34, 25, 35, and 37 years.
The regional police commander also revealed the ammunition of the armed robbers used in carrying out the operations that are currently in the custody of the police.
A search in the home at Gomapotin led to the recovery of the following items: 1 foreign pistol, 1 locally manufactured pistol loaded with 1 cartridge, SB, and an SB shotgun also, 6 new wax prints, 2 laptops and their accessories, 2 sharp cutlasses, 3 mobile phones, 1 empty BB cartridge shell.
The police administration is assuring members of the public not to entertain any fear that their identities would be revealed should they give the police some information. All suspects rounded up by the police would be remanded into police custody to assist the police in further investigations. Richard Kwejonyako, Joy News, Cape Coast.
Elsewhere, the Kwabre East Municipal Security Council is asking community members from the 2 youth groups involved in last week's clash at Ahia to volunteer information that would help in the arrest of criminals in the area. The Security Council has also decided to clear a teak plantation, which it says has become a den for criminals in the town. This, according to officials, is part of measures to demobilize violent youth groups who have been engaging in repeated bloody clashes. The latest incident on Monday claimed 1 life and left several others wounded. Police have arrested 57 people who have been processed for court on charges of rioting. Chairman of the Security Council, Nana Osei-Sibe, spoke to journalists after a meeting with leadership of both youth groups earlier on Wednesday.
We identified a place which is being used as the house of the criminals. So we resolved that to cut down the trees over the whole place so that they don't have any other place to hide. That to expose them whatever they are doing there. So we are putting our heads together and fix a time to go and cut down the trees from the area. At our last meeting also we resolved to put up a police station at Ahia. Again, the committee agreed that the work at the place is about 95% complete. We've given ourselves up to the middle of April to complete the whole thing, and we commission the police station by the end of April 2018, so that we have police service 24 hours at a time. The other thing is that the community should help us to arrest the criminals over the place. They don't have to hide them. They should let us know. They should expose them so that they don't go around and be terrorizing the people over there.
Divisional Police Command for Tafo Pankrono, ASP Francis Sopong Agrippa, says his men are on the ground and will provide needed security for residents.
In that when we are passing, the numbers dwindle. It is not that. In the afternoon, for instance, when they come, they go run. They be in the car, they go run and patrol the whole area. But in the evening, we should be supported by the military. So that's the reason why maybe when we are passing, we did not see the security. We are full on ground and we are firm on ground.
The Inspector General of Police has reiterated the power of the media in the fight against crime. According to him, a strong collaboration between his service and the media will see the police realize its vision of meeting world-class standards and see a drastic reduction in crime in Ghana. He was speaking at the launch of the Ghana Police World Television series here in Accra. Nancy Emefajiradozi was there for Joy News.
Speaking at the event, the Inspector General of Police noted that the new Ghana Police Watch TV series will provide timely information on combating crime in Ghana, describing the media as an indispensable partner in the fight against crime.
The media has the supremacy to influence millions of individuals through countless formats. The police administration, under my leadership, believes we can leverage on the power of positive influence of the media to turn the tide in our effort to promote safe neighborhoods.
On his part, board chairman of the Graphic Communications Group, Professor Karkari, noted that the show will only bring about the desired results if collaboration with the public is strengthened, adding that the communication between the police and the public must be effective and make room for open accountability.
To enhance public confidence, there must be transparency in the communication that goes on between the police and the public. In other words, the communication between the police and the public must make room for open and transparent accountability of the police to the public.
On the spike in the number of armed robbery cases recorded in Accra in February this year, the IGP attributed it to a change in strategy by the armed robbers. He, however, noted some selected officers are currently undergoing high-risk motorbike-related crime prevention training to fight this menace.
The rise in the number of robberies in the early part of this year, after a very serene and peaceful Christmas celebrations, was partly due to a sharp change in the strategy of these criminals to using motorbikes, many of which were unregistered. For the first time in the history of the Ghana Police Service, we are going to have officers fully armed on robust motorbikes, ready to deal ruthlessly with any criminal who would try to use a motorbike as modus.
He further blamed the violent crimes in the country on the plethora of violent movies shown on television and called for a collective effort in youth development.
Today, children are bombarded with all kinds of violent movies over their developmental stage into adulthood. As we all acknowledge the power of influence that the media holds, I am sure no one is surprised when we begin to see all kinds of violent crimes on our streets and communities.
The TV series will be aired on Joy News on Mondays at 6 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m.
Still to come in the bulletin, anxious customers of distressed UniBank who thronged the bank's branches eventually gain access to their funds after a brief shutdown on Wednesday.
I intend taking my money, taking it elsewhere for safekeeping. When everything is okay, I'll come back.
Stay tuned, we'll be back in a bit. There is stalemate in Parliament over whether the House can approve the agreement between the U.S. and Ghana that will allow the U.S. military to establish facilities in Ghana. Parliament's committees on Defense and Interior, as well as Constitution and Legal Affairs, have been meeting to consider the agreement, which Parliament is expected to approve. The minority is raising concerns the agreement, which has been brought to the House for approval, has not been signed as required in Article 75 of the Constitution. The committees spent the whole day debating the alleged procedural error. According to the member of Parliament's Legal Affairs Committee, Roxinda Fiamako, if Parliament attempts to ratify the document in its current form, it will be a breach of the Constitution.
Now, carefully reviewing the documents that they have brought, the document is not executed. Now, the requirement is that before Parliament can consider and approve of any such agreement, it has to first of all be executed. That is signed by the president or the designated minister. Now, the government is not willing to listen, and it is very serious because you see, matters of state has to be done in accordance with law. Article 75 is very clear. The circumstances under which agreements of this nature are to be brought to Parliament for approval and or ratification.
So they are coming for approval. If
yes.
The document is signed already, then what's the point about approval from Parliament?
According to Article 75, when you sign a document of this nature, which is akin to a treaty, you bring it to Parliament for approval. So when Parliament considers the document and sees it fit to be in the greater interest of the generality of the people, it will approve of it. When Parliament sees that it is not in the interest of the generality of the people, Parliament can reject it, even though you have signed. Even though you have signed. So it is in the same nature that the agreement in question has, first of all, to be executed, to be signed. Now, you see, when parties sign agreement in law, we call it, they have to be addendum. They have to be meeting of minds. They are saying that they have already met with American counterparts in this matter and drawn the kind of terms that are contained in the agreement. If in considering the agreement now, the memorandum, we make changes, will America abide by it?
I'm sure that's why they don't want to sign it ahead of the approval from...
No, so don't invite Parliament to be part of the negotiating team. What they are doing now, they are inviting Parliament to take part in drafting the agreement. But that is not our rule.
Defense Minister Dominic Nituol has meanwhile produced documents detailing how the John Mahama and Jerry Rawlings administrations secretly signed military cooperation agreements granting unrestricted access to Ghanaian military facilities to the United States Armed Forces. This is coming on the back of the latest controversy on government's decision to approve the new bilateral military agreement, which includes tax exemptions. Dominic Nituol has been addressing a news conference in which he produced 3 separate documents that he says laid the foundation for this particular agreement that the MPP has signed.
Agreement, which is an enhanced defense agreement, is premised on 2 legs. One is the 1998 agreement, and 2, which is a note verbal, and 2, the 2015 agreement that Ghana signed to by our then Foreign Minister Hannah Tete. And let me read. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Ghana presents its compliment to the Embassy of the United States of America and has the honor to refer to the Embassy's Note 121 dated 24th November 1997, which reads as follows. The Embassy of the United States of America presents its compliment to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Ghana and has the honor to refer to the recent discussion between the representatives of the 2 governments regarding issues related to U.S. military personnel and civilian employees of the U.S. Department of Defense who may temporarily be present in Ghana in connection with the African Crisis Response Initiative and other activities as may have be agreed upon by our 2 governments. As a result of these discussions, the Embassy has the pleasure to propose that such personnel be accorded the equivalent to that accorded the administrative and technical staff of the United States Embassy under the Vienna Convention and Diplomatic Relations of 18 April 1961.
He also dismissed rumors that this latest agreement constitutes the establishment of a U.S. military base here in Ghana.
You know, don't let us look at peacetime. God forbid if there's a war time, for example, and the U.S. decides that, or there's a disaster in Ghana like Haiti, and the U.S. decide that they want to come and stage forces and deploy, and they don't have this agreement. How are they going to stage the forces and deploy? Because this is a military agreement. It's not a civilian agreement. So when, for example, there is a natural disaster in Ghana today, and you don't have an agreement that can allow the U.S. to come and land and deploy soldiers, how are they going to do it? So staging soldiers and deploying them is not tantamount to military base. It's to enable them to take an action that will be beneficial to us as a country. And remember that whatever they are going to do should be within the confines of this agreement. And there's nothing in this agreement that says that America can fight a war using this agreement. No. Attack an enemy using this agreement. No. There's nothing like that.
While Information Minister Mustafa Hamid has chastised minority MPs for leaking the agreement on security cooperation between Ghana and the United States. Mustafa Hamid accused the NDC MPs of undermining the credibility of the legislature by challenging the deal in the media instead of doing so on the floor of Parliament.
This is the second time that a document goes to the House of the Representatives of the People, and then NDC elements in that parliament rush these documents to the media, to social media, to public spaces, in order to either undercut, undermine or destroy the credibility of the debate and discussions that will be going on in that parliament. How can you be a member of parliament and be leaking documents that are meant for discussion in that parliament to the press in order to, if you want, generate public discourse and, if you want, excite opprobrium for the government of the day? When you do that, you are undermining the very house from which you derive your legitimacy as a participant in our democratic process. Because what is your legitimacy? Your legitimacy is that you are an NDC member of parliament. So if there is no parliament, or the credibility of parliament is destroyed, your legitimacy as a human being in our democratic process is also gone. And therefore, I am just using this opportunity to call on the NDC to be decorous, to begin to respect the sanctity of parliament. That when government takes a document to parliament, because that document, from what the minister has been saying, has been in this ministry for more than 8 months. That's number one. And we have operators in this ministry. They didn't leak it to the press. After that, it went to cabinet and stayed around the cabinet secretariat for another maybe 4 months or whatever. And the day that we take it to parliament, in order for the representatives of the people to discuss it, NDC elements in the parliament then take the document, photocopy it, and throw it into the public space. When it
Hello, good evening to you. Time now for business. Now, marketing manager of UniBank, Felix Donto, has assured of the full support to ensure that the interest of staff of the bank is protected under the 6-month transition period.
We're having a solid relationship with them, and we're working together. So far, so good. And our interest is in the customers, and we want to assure them that everything is fine, their deposits are safe, and everything is okay.
What is the assurance that their deposits are safe? Because the Bank of Ghana don't seem to have confidence in you, and that's why they want them to take it over.
But the person who's managing is telling you that everything is fine. He just mentioned that to you, that everything is fine. He's giving you the full assurances. Okay, and from now, they are taking charge of that, and they're giving you full assurances. And so I think you should take what they've told you. The relationship with our official assets management would handle most of these things.
Now, Ghana Airport Company Limited says it has already commenced repayment of loans solicited for the Terminal 3 construction project. The $250 million Kotoka International Airport project is part of capital investment by the airport company as part of plans to improve the state of infrastructure at the airport. The facility, which is currently 91% complete, Managing Director for the Ghana Airports Company Limited, John Atifa, explained the company will leverage the expected growth to generate more funds to finance its credit.
At 91% completion, the Kotoka Terminal 3 is close to finish. In the company of project managers, management of the Ghana Airports Company and the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority, the Minister for Aviation told the project to assess work ongoing at the terminal. We are currently at the new Kotoka Terminal 3. Now, this edifice is sitting on a 45,000 meter square piece of land. Now, the unique features about this particular new development is, as you can see behind me, this time round, we have 7 air bridges, meaning that passengers can directly move from the aircraft into the building. Now, inside the building, we have a very automated baggage handling system, which can handle up to 3,500 baggages an hour. And also, this place can process 1,250 passengers at peak hours, which is 3 times the number at Terminal 1 and Terminal 2. Now, to briefly refresh your mind, this project was initiated in March 2016, and according to the Director General of the Ghana Airports Company Limited, it is going to be completed on schedule. That is July 2018.
By 91% completion, and we are aiming to complete by, as I said, April 29.
How do you intend to make back all the money that has been spent? What are the plans in place to ensure that we are able to recoup our funds?
We have some charges for passengers using the airport facility, And that is what we have used to support the loan. And we hope that with the growth in passenger traffic, we'll be able to service the loan fairly comfortably. But remember, there are two tranches to the loan. There's a financial, the commercial tranche, about 194 million. And there is the development finance one coming from the AFDB, Development Bank of South Africa, and Ghana's own infrastructure investment fund. For the commercial tranche, we've already started paying, and we think that we'll be able to do that as we go along.
And the other tranche?
The other tranche as well, because once you finish with the commercial tranche, then what you are left with is paying for the 205 million for the the development finance group, and that we think we'll be able to do it. Of course, some of the terms were a bit stiff, and we are still trying to negotiate with our financiers to see if we can get them softened a bit to allow us to breathe.
On her part, Minister for Aviation Cecilia Depar stressed on proper maintenance of the edifice after it's completed.
I want to stress finally on the quality of work. We can all see that the monitoring has been effective, so we have good quality work. We hope all the little sprucing up will be done, so that at the handing over phase, everything will be up to scratch. Yes, and we believe the rest of the job should be continued as giving us the best quality that we have internationally. And then the maintenance. Yes, you know, beautiful edifice. We need to maintain it. You know, the cost of the project, $274 million. So we need to appreciate what we have and make sure that we, the users, and we, the ones taking care of the facilities, need to be up and doing to give us the best. Yes.
Sheila Tamaklu for Joy Business.
Now, government is taking steps to ensure that Ghana and Ivory Coast play a major role in determining cocoa prices on the international market. Despite controlling more than 60% of the global production, the two countries have little influence in determining the value of the beans. Speaking to Joy Business, Senior Minister Yaosafo Mafo said the two countries must take their destiny into their own hands.
Cocoa is a commodity that is sold on the world market price. People who are buying it want to buy it as cheap as possible. I mean, you must always bear that in mind. Those who are producing it want to sell it as expensive as possible. There should be a strategy that no government can dictate the price per se, but you can determine a strategy that may control quantities on the market at a time. Because for every commodity in the world, when we have a glut production, when we have too much of the product on the market, the price falls. When there is a dream of scarcity, when people think that there's going to be a shortage, the price goes up. So between us and the Côte d'Ivoire, we should strategize such that even the flow on the market is somehow controlled by us in a way. It is very difficult because of the economy. You need the money. I mean, like Ghana and like Côte d'Ivoire, we need the money. So we are always in a hurry to put the bean on the market.
And a group calling itself Concerned Small-Scale Miners Association has indicated they could return to mining if no positive information reaches them by the end of the month. They are worried some foreigners keep mining illegally despite the ban on small-scale mining to clamp down on such illegal activities. Spokesperson Benjamin Annan says they are prepared to resist any oppression as they plan to go back to mine if no positive news comes to them by the end of this month. He spoke at a press conference in Kumasi.
If we do not hear anything positive from the government by the end of this month, we would be left with no alternative than to order all our members to go back to their mining site to resume work since our licenses are still valid. We have taken note of the directive by the first Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Honorable Joe Osewusu, for military personnel to shoot and kill any small-scale miner. We are Ghanaians by blood and by law, and we are prepared to resist any oppression and fight for our right to work and survive. The government of Ghana has demonstrated its incompetent in fighting against illegal mining and has shown its willingness to sacrifice our business to save its face from embarrassment. We therefore appeal to all Ghanaians, the international community, civil society, and the government of Ghana to avail their minds and attention to the urgency of this matter before it gets out of hand.
That's all in business tonight. Thank you so much for watching. For more business news, log on to myjoyonline.com/business. My name is Emmanuel Apuachi. We have this more news ahead. Don't go away.
Now, directors of banks that are becoming insolvent could be liable to sanctions by the central bank if they are found culpable. For now, though, Deputy Governor L.C. Awaji says it is too early to determine if the directors of UniBank, the latest bank to be taking over, have done any wrong. She, however, says investigations are underway. Mrs. Awaji, who was speaking on Joy FM Super Morning Show, says the central bank is currently awaiting a report on the collapse of UT Bank and Capital Bank, which would inform any action or actions by the regulator regarding the director's conduct.
We are investigating all of these instances. In the case of UT Bank and Capital Bank, PwC as receiver has investigated, is continuing to investigate, and we will come out with a report at the right time when our investigations are complete. When our investigations are complete, we will take the actions that are required based on what we find. In the case of UniBank, we have just taken over control of the bank through KPMG as official administrators. It's day one today, if you will. It is too early. And as a result, what I can tell you for sure is that we would investigate what has gone wrong and we will do the needful.
Meanwhile, UniBank branches opened for business on Wednesday under the new managers appointed by the central bank, but only after 12 noon. At a number of branches visited, there were anxious customers waiting impatiently to have access to their account. My colleague Komla Adom visited some of the branches.
Announcement by the governor of the Bank of Ghana to appoint KPMG as administrator comes a couple of weeks after UniBank announced it had received share pledges to take over majority stake in the Agric Development Bank. It turns out UniBank all that while was insolvent.
We are announcing the continuation of that cleanup with the appointment of an administrator for UniBank by the Bank of Ghana. The bank has put UniBank under official administration to protect the stability of this financial sector.
The new management on Wednesday kept the bank's branches shut and their ATMs inaccessible until afternoon. Second Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana, L.C. Awaji, explained the administrator needed the time to go through the bank's books.
No depositor will lose their money. That's a firm assurance. The reason why the ATMs were shut down this morning was to allow KPMG to take inventory of the cash at hand at every ATM, at every branch.
But unconvinced by the assurances, agitated customers thronged several branches of the bank to make inquiries, some though to withdraw their cash. At Penkwa branch of UniBank, tens of customers have thronged the premises to inquire about the safety of their funds, and they've been assured by managers here, officials of KPMG and the Bank of Ghana, that their investments and their savings are safe. But some of their customers disagree. They are uncertain about the assurances that they have been given.
Coming to check on my money.
Okay.
Yeah, I heard on the news about Bank of Ghana taking over UniBank.
Okay.
Yeah, and I do business with UniBank. So definitely I have to come here to check and see what is happening.
Okay. And you've been here, what have they been telling you?
Well, the manager has spoken to us in a very gentle manner. He told us we have to wait until 12 o'clock when KPMG will come around and then they'll open the facility to us so that we can do business.
Right now, what do you look to doing? Once the bank opens, what are you going to do? Are you going to withdraw your money? Are you going to seek an alternative means of keeping or saving your money?
Yeah. For the time being, I intend taking my money, taking it elsewhere for safekeeping.
Right now, I'm coming to withdraw my money
But when I came, they said that there's no descent. We should wait for about 2-3 hours. At least by 12 o'clock, we can able to correct our money. But actually, I don't know, because I'm way far place to come and withdraw money and give it to somebody. They said we should wait. They are making inquiries inside, which is very bad.
Okay, so
my money is almost 10,000, but I want to withdraw just 5,000 first today and see if I had anything more. I can come and withdraw the other ones and then put it to another bank.
At the Achimota branch of UniBank, the situation is not different from what prevails in many other branches that we've visited so far.
I just received a message this morning that indeed what I heard was true, so I came to find out more about it. But the bank has been closed. They said it will be opening around 12, so I'm just waiting. I'm just hanging around until it's open.
Well, Chairman of Parliament's Finance Committee, Dr. Mark Esiviebwa, has defended the central bank over its decision to take over management of UniBank. The minority has blamed the regulator for the woes of the banking sector, accusing it of mismanagement. Minority spokesperson on finance, Kasela Tuforsin, told a media briefing government has also shirked its responsibility to indigenous banks.
Disappointed. Disappointed not because UniBank as a bank has collapsed, but we are disappointed that within a space of 8 months, 3 indigenous banks have collapsed. We think that the government could have done better. We believe that government has a responsibility in ensuring that there is private participation, indigenous Ghanaians participating in the financial sector. Supervising the collapse of 3 indigenous Ghanaian companies within a space of 8 months is alarming and shocking. My concern is that it has happened before in other jurisdictions. State has come out to support them. In fact, I strongly believe that the state could have acted better. There may be issues, but I'm aware that there are other banks in the system that have same issues. Okay, so if some of them, the issues relating to those banks may even be more serious than that of UniBank, so but they are surviving. Political. So I have not mentioned the word political, but what I've said is that the government should make sure that going forward they don't end up ceding the financial sector to the private to foreigners, because the way they are going, they will end up ceding the financial sector to the for foreigners. I don't think that is good for this country. It's not the way we want to go, because clearly, when we create good economy and good environment, we want the ordinary Ghanaian to benefit. We want me and you to benefit. So what is the point if we create a sound financial sector and yet the ordinary Ghanaian businessman is not benefiting? So there may be issues. But another concern that I have, maybe let me put it.
But Dr. Mark Esiviebwa says the central bank rather deserves commendation for saving customers from losing their money.
The Bank of Ghana could have liquidated those banks, but they said that, GCB should take over in a purchase and assumption offer. So the Bank of Ghana had injected about 1.6 billion into UT and Capital. This is our money, just to save those 2 banks. So GCB took over Capital and UT. Now, PricewaterhouseCoopers, which was made the receiver under the for UT and Capital, is going after their assets. People are repaying their loans. Sooner than later, they will go after their directors. Some would even be jailed, okay, in the UT and Capital case. Now, that is one option of appointing a receiver. You could also liquidate the bank. In the case of this new one, UniBank, the bank has appointed directors, an administrator, which is KPMG. So what KPMG has come to do is that the frontline management, managing director, chief operating officer, and the rest, they'll go away. This is because they've realized that UniBank is exposed to a lot of subsidiaries of the organ. You know, UniBank, it has insurance, their financial holding has a lot of subsidiaries. So they are exposed. So you take away the management. And so today, effective 12 o'clock, it is KPMG, which is the management. When they come in, they will manage. They are given 6 months to manage the bank well. So they will try and cut out all those losses, and then the bank will stand back on its feet. But the bank, UniBank, will not be the UniBank as it is belonging to those directors. The Bank of Ghana has been giving them liquidity support
so that they stay healthy, like you're on life support, oxygen. So now what the bank has done is they've taken off the oxygen, okay? But instead of them suffering a complete death, now there is an administrator who is managing the bank. I hold an account at UniBank. I wrote a check to somebody. It has just cleared. I've received an alert. So there is no cause for alarm.
Nine teachers at the Ejusuman Senior High School have been interdicted over the alleged sexual abuse of female students. The interdictions were the outcome of the work of a committee set up by the Ghana Education Service. Some of the students told the 7-member committee that investigated the alleged abuse. They were asked by some teachers to stroke their manhood. The Ghana Education Service will not speak to the findings of the fact-finding committee, but says the interdiction of the teachers is to shield the students from victimization. Head of Public Relations at the GES, Cassandra Chum Ampofo, says the committee's report has been forwarded to the Ashanti Regional Education Directorate to conduct further investigations.
We have received the investigative report from Ejusuman Senior High School. In our service, we term it as an inquiry report, and as I speak to you, 9 teachers have been interdicted pending further investigation by the Regional Disciplinary Committee. You know, the investigative committee only did the fact-finding, investigations, yes, and so they are now presenting the report to the Regional Disciplinary Committee, and the Ashanti Regional Director has been directed to take over the investigations at their level.
Meanwhile, the Education Ministry is calling for a change in the existing policy that allows the Ghana Education Service to investigate allegations of sexual abuse of students brought against teachers. Deputy Minister of Education Dr. Ya Osei Educhum says the GES, the employer of teachers, must not be allowed to investigate such allegations. He tells Joy News the frequency at which child abuse cases are reported against teachers means more needs to be done to protect children.
Given the frequency with which some of these reports come to our knowledge, we have to really look at our policy and the GS policy on child abuse reporting and be able to have a situation where the police is rightly at the forefront of this. Where allegations happen, as it's international best practice, is the police that takes the front row. They are the ones that investigate, and the GS will do its professional responsibility. So it shouldn't be the other way around. And I think we are in 21st century, and we have to begin to make sure that children are protected. Everywhere we find children, everywhere we work with children, they should be protected. So we are going to look at interagency collaboration to ensure that these allegations are taken seriously and swift action is taken with the goal of protecting the children.
Boku Central MP Mahama Yariga has dragged government to the Supreme Court over how it intends to implement key programs, including the One District, One Factory program. Other programs such as Free SHS and One Village, One Dam are not spared in the court action. In the writ cited by Joy News, Mr. Yariga argues it is unconstitutional for funds to be allocated to these programs without appropriate regulations in place. He insists the absence of relevant regulations renders implementation of the programs unconstitutional and wants the court to restrain government from going ahead with it.
By our constitution, when you appropriate funds to implement a program that involves the exercise of wide discretionary power, you are required to present to Parliament regulations showing how you intend to exercise your discretion. And it must be fair, candid, unbiased, providing equal opportunities to everybody. That is how we ensure fairness under our Constitution. So let me give you a typical example. In the budget for 2018, President Akufo-Addo asked for 236 million Ghana cedis for a national industrial revitalization program. He says that it is a stimulus package for certain industries that appear to be ailing. Now, when you take 236 million Ghana cedis, how do you share it which company gets it and which company doesn't get it. What is the criteria? Those are the key issues that are addressed in regulations approved by Parliament. So there are so many initiatives that he has announced. That is how we ran into the JIDA crisis. In this year's budget, a total of close to...
Now, the historical Cape Coast Castle harbors traumatic stories of the transatlantic slave trade. The site has gained worldwide recognition, but behind the castle is an open defecation ground. Tourists who throng the site are appalled and have vowed never to go swimming in Ghana's ocean. Jojo Kobna has more in the following report.
Welcome to the Cape Coast Castle. It was built in 1653 by the Swedes. The historical monument harbors horrific tales of the transatlantic slave trade. The castle has been marked as a World Heritage Site and receives thousands of tourists yearly. Many African Americans make emotional journeys here to retrace their ancestry.
We're survivors. Yes. Survivor spirit.
President Barack Obama has visited this place.
Right above the dungeons in which male captives were kept was a church. And that reminds us that sometimes we can tolerate and stand by great evil even as we think that we're doing good.
Last year, a little over 60,000 tourists visited the castle and were probably greeted with this. It is unpleasant watching people hunker down, easing themselves. Many residents around the Cape Coast Castle do it without any shame. They confront us on why we're filming them and then try to hide from our camera to do their own thing. Many brave the strong tides just to ease themselves when a public toilet is just 150 meters away. It's shocking to note that many of the patrons of this place do not use toilet rolls. Children join in and later play where they defecated. Tourists who throng the place are shocked. Some vowed never to even walk in Ghana's beach waters again.
It's concerning. I had heard about it before coming to Ghana, actually, that it is a problem on public beaches and public places. I think that kind of a behavior is unacceptable, and it's really off-putting. I wouldn't go swimming or bathing on the beach.
The government have to be more active, have to promote, have to incentive the people to take care of the nature, take care of the monuments they have.
I really like swimming, I really like the beach, and I just never go to the beach here. And Ghana has so many beaches, so many beautiful beaches, so many good places, and just too dirty to swim.
The assistant director of the Cape Coast Castle, Alex Kinsley Okpoi, said when tourists inquire about open defecation around the castle, he becomes speechless.
But it's difficult to tell them why they are defecating there, because it's embarrassment, you know, shameful, disgraceful, distasteful, and therefore, you know, we just try to tell them that we have tried our efforts to move them away, but they will not yield. Diplomats, people of high caliber, take them around, then you go to miss a situation. You, the person taking the visitors round, you know, find it difficult even to continue the tour.
I engaged the fishermen around the castle, and they did not deny defecating at the beach. Rather, they have interesting tales on why they do so.
Once and can be our engine. Now, according to me, I'm the fresh air.
The fishermen admit they are recalcitrant. So what would it take for them to change? Meanwhile, caretakers at the public toilet facility close to the Cape Coast Castle say only women along the coast use the facility. Ghana ranks second on the Open Defecation League table, with 19% of its population resorting to sanitation practice deemed the riskiest of all. Certainly, government must do more to end such practices to save the health of its citizens and also promote tourism. Jojo Kobna, Cape Coast, Joy News.
Her husband checked his responsibilities when he found out that their daughter had Down syndrome, and for 7 years, 53-year-old Agnes Teko Nyemite has been left with the task of bringing up a child with special needs. A tough experience forced her to start a social support group for other mothers of children with Down syndrome. The story of Agnes Teko Nyemite is told by Joy News' Beryl Ernestina Richter.
It is assembly time and Toda is seen amongst her colleagues. She is one of few children here with special needs at Wilmore Christian Academy in Tema. When she was brought here, Toda was unable to write, but her current teacher, Miranda Agbenu Akaseku, has done a great job with her. Toda is able to scribble a few letters now.
The start it wasn't easy at all. She couldn't do anything apart from coloring. And then the coloring too, you won't get it perfectly.
Inclusive education defines the strategic part of the government for the education of all children with special educational needs. The policy aims at social exclusion and implements the child rights as pronounced in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights.
53-year-old Agnes Teko Nyemite was shocked when doctors told her that Toda, her beautiful daughter, had Down syndrome. Toda is her second child. It is very difficult to raise a child with such a condition. But Agnes loves her daughter. This love pushed her to learn so much about children with Down syndrome. Today, she runs a social support group on children with special needs.
The day that I gave birth to her, the doctor told me that she has a webbed neck and she looks like a child with Down syndrome. But the pediatrician will come and confirm the next day. That was Wednesday. So the pediatrician came and she confirmed that truly she had Down syndrome. For her father, it is my fault that she's Down syndrome. I needed him to stand by me to raise Toda, but he will not.
Toda is not the only child with Down syndrome who has had to change schools due to the condition. 20-year-old Ruby Mensah Tumado also faced similar challenges during her schooling days. 41-year-old Matilda Late Tumado, mother of Ruby, has set up a center to train and empower mothers of children with special needs and people with disabilities to acquire some vocational skills like sewing and hat making.
Sometimes when we sew the things, I ship the things to US for them to look for a market. But the shipping also aspect here is very high.
A trainee at the center, Grace, tells me how this has impacted her life.
Previously, I used to sell groceries in front of my house, but I wasn't making enough money. But now with this job, my financial situation has improved.
As the world marks Down Syndrome Day, head of Department of Child Health at Kolebu Teaching Hospital, Professor Ebenezer Bado says there is the need to counsel and encourage parents of children with special needs to overcome the stigma and give their children all the care they require.
Years ago, when I started working in this hospital and I diagnosed Down syndrome in a child, mother told me, oh, that child looks like the father, so she doesn't understand me in terms of what I'm trying to say. And in fact, it's because of that that I did my first drawing, pencil drawing in my office. of a child with Down syndrome. So you can see that I'm behind this child. So mothers who express frustration that their children are being discharged or expelled from schools, it's because that hasn't been appreciated.
Meanwhile, Agnes Teko Nyemite is asking government to work harder at implementing the policies which allows children with special needs to attend mainstream schools. She believes this would help reduce societal stigma against such children.
For government, I hear they say all-inclusive education, but I don't see it. They want us to take our special kids to the normal schools, but there are no special teachers for their special needs.
Early intervention programs with therapists and special educators who can treat each child's specific situation is seen as a helpful approach in managing Down syndrome. For Joy News, Beryl Ernestina Richter.
Now, you could say that women are underrepresented in the media in Ghana. A cursory scope at the media landscape, particularly on radio shows. Men dominate most of the morning shows you hear or see. In fact, men dominate the morning shows. So why is that the case? Well, some veteran media professionals believe many women, especially upcoming female journalists, are not adequately preparing themselves to take up the roles their male colleagues get so easily. Their solution? Be versatile and creative. They have been addressing a summit organized by New Ghanaian Female Media Group, Alliance for Women in Africa, in Media Africa in Accra. Listen to former Information Minister Elizabeth Ohene, veteran journalist Nanaya Oforiata, and Joy FM Head of Talk in Shrado.
It seems to me the thing is get yourself properly educated. And it doesn't only happen in the classroom. Get yourself properly educated. Learn everything every day. Somebody is near you who knows how to do something. Learn. And tomorrow you'll be different. We don't do enough of hearing somebody, reading somebody, and deciding, hey, I like that. I like to be like that. I like to learn from that. And I also think that now we should be good at everything.
For me, power is being versatile, challenging yourself not to be in a straitjacket. I just want to report the news. I just want to be a director. I want to be everything. So people say to me, what do you do? Everything, obviously. So that's power. To me, power is being versatile and being prepared to be versatile and have that courage.
The power is in diversity. The power is in creativity. If you're going to narrow yourself to wanting to go and host the morning show as opposed to create maybe a blog or a vlog, a 5-minute analysis or synthesis of things happening around you that is so compelling, do you think a smart programs director would look past you? So the stage has been set. I think we're going to move past this business of waiting for an invitation. There's choice. People need content, but you can raise your caliber. It's up to you.
The Maiding Alma Summit was organized to highlight the challenges and opportunities that exist for female media personnel in Ghana. Convener of the group, Shamima Muslim Alhassan, says this is the group's first step at helping shape the future of Ghanaian women in media. We're taking a break at this point. And in the headlines, anxious customers of distressed UniBank who throng the bank's branches eventually gain access to the funds after a brief shutdown on Wednesday. The new management appointed by the Bank of Ghana has, however, reiterated the customers' deposits are safe. The Bank of Ghana has meanwhile dropped hints directors for such distressed banks, including UT and Capital Bank, may not be entirely off the hook. Central Region Police arrest 5 suspected armed robbers. And then in business, marketing manager of UniBank assures the new administrator of the bank of their full support to ensure the interest of the staff is protected. Defense Minister Dominic Nitwol insists the agreement with the United States granting their military access to facilities in Ghana is not new and tenders documents from previous agreements to back his claim.